Hey everybody, my name is Chaotic Galaxy. I'm a Chane main, and I've been pretty active on the Flesh and Blood Discord. I've had a lot of people reach out about my Chane lists and asking questions, what I think about the deck, what I think about general matchups and stuff, and so I thought I'd just do a small video about Chane. I've been playing him since I started the game back in Everfest days, so that was last February of last year, so just figured I would give a quick rundown of the deck that I'm going to be bringing for this Skirmish season. So first off, we have Chane. Chane's the hero. He's a Shadow Runeblade hero, and he has 4 intellect, 20 life, so he's on par with every other hero in the game just by raw stats. But the important thing is his card pool and his hero text. Chane has an ability that lets him create a Soul Shackle token and give the next Runeblade or Shadow action this turn go again. And that is really, really important, because Chane operates on a scale where he gets free cards every turn from the Banish Zone, because a lot of the cards in his deck are like this, Ghostly Visit. You can play it from the Banish Zone. And so Chane is, on the surface, it looks like, oh, you get Go Again with a downside. But in actuality, Chane is one of the few decks in the game that gets more powerful as the game goes on. He has access to a really strong card pool, a really strong equipment suite, and a very strong hero power to make him a dominant aggro deck in the Blitz format. So let's take a look at the equipment, and I'll go over some cards. So first up, we have the chess pieces. I have Carrion Husk in here as the main choice. Aether Ironweave is a tech for Icelander, but Carrion Husk is where you want to be. Carrion Husk essentially just blocks 6 and then pings you for 1 every turn during your end phase after you block with it. So the important thing to note is that it pops at the start of your turn. It destroys itself, goes to the Banish Zone if you have 13 or less health. So you always want to make sure you're using your Carrion Husk before then. But with that in mind, Carrion Husk is an incredibly powerful tempo tool. It allows you to block a really strong attack like a Spinal Crush with just equipment, no cards from hand. Just throw your Grasp and your Carrion Husk, and you can absolutely take the tempo back, because you are able to play a full 4 or 5 card hand while stopping a disruptive on hit, and it's very, very hard to get yourself off the back foot if you're Chane's opponent. So Carrion Husk is the main reason to play Chane at the moment, I feel. Carrion Husk can only be played in Chane and Levia, and Chane uses it so much better. Next, we have the 3 headpieces. We have Crown of Dichotomy, Crown of Providence, and Ebb and Fold. Lately, I've mostly just been using Crown of Providence and Ebb and Fold. Crown of Providence is the default choice. If you don't have one, I would recommend Skullcap, and if you don't have Skullcap, Iron Rot works fine. But Crown of Providence allows you to block for 2, Blade Break, and when you defend with Crown of Providence, you can put a card from your hand or arsenal on the bottom of the deck. If you do, draw a card. This is huge. So Chane is a very combo-heavy deck. A lot of the cards Chane has are below rate in some way. They are subpar compared to a lot of other cards in the meta. Like Ghostly Visit is a 1 for 4. If you compare that to, say, Leg Tap from Ninja, which is a 1 for 4 Go Again, you see Ghostly Visit is kind of just bad, right? It doesn't have Go Again. And that's the thing, is that all of the cards in this deck, aside from a few, are just synergy pieces. And Chane works best as a well-oiled machine where everything works in tandem. And occasionally you have bad hands, you have bricks, you don't have hands that work everything together. And in that case, this is where Crown of Providence really shines, is you have this full awesome hand, and you know you have to kill the opponent this turn, you have to take the game this turn, and you don't have the hand to do it. Crown of Providence just lets you block, get some health by blocking 2, and cycle a card, which is huge. Ebb and Fold is just in here for the Spell Void 2. It's great against Icelander to keep your health total up. Nothing to see there. Grasp of the Arcanite is your main tool. It's just blocking for 2. It's huge. It blocks for 2 and then 1, which is insane. Battle Worn is a really strong mechanic, and Grasp is insane just because of the armor it provides, but it also has a utility option where you can spend 2 resources and create a rune chant. And because of the way that the deck runs, occasionally you will have hands where you have 2 extra resources. And so if you want to just pitch a blue for Rosetta Thorn, you might as well also pitch for Grasp of the Arcanite and just add 1 damage. It's not the best rate, 2 resources for 1 damage, but having that always as an option is very strong. Additionally, Grasp can be used at the start of the game if you're going first and you don't want to attack your opponent, give them a chance to filter. That's one of Chane's best strengths, is that you can start the game by making a Rune Chant and making a Soul Shackle and then arsenaling a card. You've given your opponent no chance to do any filtering of their hand, and you've already got 2 auras on the board that will help you secure the game. So that's one of the reasons that makes Chane so strong. He's able to play first and second and do things on both. Next up, we just have No Rune Boots. This is in here for Icelander. No Rune Robe. This, I don't bring it in against anything anymore, except for Kano, which should be self-explanatory. You obviously don't need Carrion Husk against him. Let's talk about the others before we get to the weapon. Spellbound Creepers is insane. Spellbound Creepers is everything in this deck. And if you don't have Spellbound Creepers, that is okay. That is totally okay. You can swap it for Snapdragon Scalers. Because all Spellbound Creepers really does, despite all this text, is it lets you generate extra action points at the cost of 1 resource. And you remember what I said about Grasp of the Arcanite, how you always generally will have extra pitch to spare? This is how you're going to be using it most of the time. Just giving yourself that extra action point by playing a non-attack action with Go Again. Being able to cheat in a card and then have an extra action is incredibly powerful. It's like a multi-use Snapdragons that also blocks for 1. It's got a lot of text on it, but that's basically the gist of it. And if you ever need to block 1 to stop a breakpoint, you're never too upset about losing Spellbound Creepers. It is really powerful, but it also just blocks for 1 in a pinch, and sometimes that's all you need. It is worth noting that this is not in my list anymore, but there is a card, Tome of Fyendal, and Tome of Fyendal really synergizes well with Spellbound Creepers. If you don't have Spellbound Creepers, I would not run Tome, but Tome of Fyendal allows you to draw cards and gain life if it's played from Arsenal. And what you can do is you can block with a card from hand, and then activate Spellbound Creepers, pitching a blue, and then play Tome from your arsenal. You'll then have Tome draw you 2 cards, and you'll gain 4 life. So you've blocked 3 with a card from your hand, and then you've gained 4 health. So that's a 7 health swing at the cost of 1 card, which is incredibly powerful. That's a great rate. So if your opponent is ever coming in really aggressively and you have the chance to make that play, that is huge in the aggro matchups, and that can get you so much of a life lead. But enough about Creepers. I'm going to be talking about Vexing here. So Vexing is just Arcane Barrier 1, but it also just has the nice text of you can destroy it, create 2 Rune Chants. This is an excellent way to close out the game. You can pressure your opponent, strip their hand, and then, okay, they only have 1 card left if they're a wizard or something. They obviously can't do anything to me this turn. You crack Vexing Quill Hand, and you come in with that 2 extra damage to seal the game. I can't tell you how useful that is to just have on-demand 2 arcane damage. It's like Goliath Gauntlet, but way, way stronger. So this is definitely where you want to be versus Wizard. I would bring in Grasp every other matchup just because it's so powerful to have that armor. Next, let's just talk about the deck. I want to keep this short, so I'm going to talk about the key cards here. A lot of this stuff in here is not key cards. This is a pretty stock list. I wanted to focus on just the basics of Chane and how you can grab the power cards and just jam whatever you want. This is your core right here. You've got the Belittle Minnowism package, 2 yellow and red Belittles, and 2 red and blue Minnowisms. These are a resource engine and a damage engine. You're able to play Belittle, reveal an attack action card with 3 or less base attack from your hand, which, if you'll notice, this is a target for Belittle, this is a target for Belittle, this is a target for Belittle, this is a target. Like, almost all of your attacks are going to be targets for Belittle. So you want to be maximizing your use out of this card because it is truly insane. It comes in for 1 for 3 go again and gets you free resources or free extra damage, potentially turning on Rosetta Thorn. That's where you want to be. Next, we just have the suite of Blood Debt cards. Bounding Demigod, 0 cost, comes in for 4 from the Banish Zone, 3 if not. This is just good. It's a free attack. There's nothing more to say, really. It's just good to have free cards. And with your Soul Shackles, sometimes you will just get a Bounding Demigod, and you go, oh, okay. Well, now I can use Spellbound Creepers to cheat in an attack action and then add 4 damage to my turn. Just out of the blue, which is huge. You have Ghostly Visit, you have Howl from Beyond, you have Riftbind, Unhallowed Rites. These are all the good Blood Debt cards, in my opinion. And I've seen people add more or less. Shadowverser is important as well. I've seen people go up to more Blood Debt, and I've seen people cut some Blood Debt. I think Blood Debt is really important to maximize the value you're getting off of Chane. Next, we just have the Powerhouse card, Art of War. I think this is the most important card in the deck. And I understand that this is expensive for some people. So if you truly cannot run Art of War, I would suggest Yellow Captain's Call. It's definitely not going to give you the same power level as this card, but it's still a decent option. Art of War is insane. The modes you're going to be choosing on Art of War are the attack actions get +1 power and +1 defense, and banish a card from your hand, draw 2. You're going to be banishing any of these Blood Debt cards, any of these pieces, because that allows you to effectively draw 3, because this doesn't matter if you banish it. It's still a card you have access to. So by playing Art of War, you're getting incredible card advantage and +1 on all your attacks, and so you want to maximize your value. Activate Spellbound Creepers, play a Shadow Puppetry or a Captain's Call or a Malvrian Skies. Just go again as much as you can, go really wide, and pop off with the Art of War. That's really where you want to be with the deck, and your most powerful turns will come from Art of War. And then some other nice cards in here. You have Plunder Run. This is insane. This is a card you really want to play for when you can. Just adding 3 and an on-hit to all of your attacks is incredible. Being able to go attack with Belittle for 6, and then they have to block it or you draw a card. And then, okay, I will activate Creepers, flash in the Minnowism I just got off Belittle. Attack with Bounding Demigod from my Banish Zone for 7, and then they have to block that or you draw, and you have an extra action point, so then you can also play another Demigod, and then you can swing Rosetta, and they have to block all of that or they give you free cards. It's really good. So Plunder Run I have in reds and blues just to double up on the effect, and you can always pitch blue Plunder Run. It's not exactly where you want to be, but in a pinch, if you can just arsenal it, it's great. We have Shadow Puppetry and Soul Reaping. These two go hand in hand really well. Soul Reaping's a one-of. It's only a one-of. You can't run any more of it even if you wanted to because of the legendary keyword. And it says that you can banish 1 or more cards from your hand rather than paying the cost. If you do, you gain 1 resource for each Blood Debt you banish. And so a lot of people don't understand this, but you can banish any card with Soul Reaping. If I have 2 cards in my hand and it's a Shrill Skull Form, no Blood Debt, and a Soul Reaping, I can just play the Soul Reaping, banish Shrill. Just 6 damage, which isn't the best rate, but in an emergency, that could be where you want to be. But where this card really shines is smaller hands, where you're able to just make a Soul Shackle, Soul Reaping, banish like a Ghostly Visit, and then come in for 4. That's 10 damage off of 2 cards. So if you know, like Wounded Bull, 2 cards for 8 damage, and everyone's going crazy about that, Chane has 2 for 10. He also has Shadow Puppetry, which on a larger turn, maybe incorporating things like Belittle or Art of War, where you want to throw as much as you can at the opponent, coming in for 7 go again with an on-hit is insane. Because it's just 0 cost, gives go again. So you can even do stuff like Shadow Puppetry, Soul Reaping, banish a Ghostly Visit from your hand, get one resource, and then in the reaction step, play Art of War with that one resource to banish a Bounding Demigon, draw more cards, right? You can go insane with this card. It generates free resources for you while attacking. It's great. I would run like 6 of them if I could. It's an incredible piece. And then Shadowverser is the last kind of core piece to the deck. It's a 0-cost blue, blocks for 3, attacks for 2. You can play it from the Banish Zone unconditionally. So unlike Bounding Demigon, Unhallowed Rites, where you have to play a non-attack first, Shadowverser just comes out for free. And you can banish a card from Blood Debt from your hand, and it gets go again, which is incredibly good. It allows you to go extra wide on those Art of War turns, because again, when you're playing a card with Blood Debt, if you have it in your hand, you can just Shadowverser, banish it, still playable from Banish Zone. So this is one of the pieces that helps you string together super wide turns, which is great. And then the rest of the deck is kind of just tech choices. Shrill of Skullform, Vexing Malice, Captain's Call, Malverian Skies. That's where I've landed. I just think that these are solid cards that Chane has access to. Shrill of Skullform comes in for 5 off of a blue, because you create an aura with it. You create an aura with Chane, and then it's always on, which is great. Vexing Malice, this is a 1 for 5, with 2 of it being arcane. This is a really powerful card, and it goes incredibly well with Belittle. If you have just 1 blue card in your hand, and then Belittle and a Vexing Malice, you can Belittle, comes in for 3, get a red Minnowism, play Minnowism, make a Soul Shackle, play Vexing for 6 base, and then 2 arcane damage, and then come in with Rosetta Thorn to end the turn. And that's 3 plus 6 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. That ends up coming to 13 damage off of just 3 cards, which is a very good rate. Finally, I just wanted to talk about the matchups for Chane. And the matchups for Chane are honestly pretty good. This is why I feel so strongly about the deck. Chane has a good matchup into the majority of the field because of what I've said before. He is an aggro deck that gets stronger as the game goes on, because the more Soul Shackles you build up, the more Ghostly Visits you're going to get, the more Howl from Beyonds you'll get. Every Blood Debt card is just free, and then when you're playing a hero with a 5, 6, 7 card hand, that's really strong. So naturally, the decks you're going to have trouble with are the decks that either prevent you from getting to that end game, or the decks that will disrupt you during that end game. So the main 2 matchups that Chane has trouble with are Dash and Icelander. Dash is able to race you and banish her deck just as well as you do, and she puts out an insane amount of damage. What you do versus Dash is you really just try and block where you can, and then race when you have an opportunity to pivot. Because a lot of your cards in this deck, you'll notice Demigon, Visit, Riftbind, Soul Reaping, Unhallowed Rites, Vexing Malice, Shrill, and Shadow. Most of the deck blocks for 3. And so if you're really pushed into a corner, you can actually just block out Dash. And you can let her do whatever she wants, because she's going to run out of steam faster than you will. With that said, you're also able to leverage Carrion Husk as a way to take back the tempo. So you can block whatever big thing she sends at you with Carrion Husk, and then come in with your own hand. Maybe even use Plunder Run, use Art of War, use Belittle to string together a really powerful turn and take her out before she's able to respond. If you force her to block, she's in real trouble. And then Icelander is the really problematic matchup. Icelander, you have to take it slow, and you have to just pray you draw your Belittles. You pray, you Belittle, reveal, get a blue. Because otherwise, she is going to mess you up. She's able to respond to your Soul Shackles before you get a chance to do anything because of the way it's written. And that can pose a unique problem where she just, okay, at the start of your turn, I'll flash in Channel Lake Frigid, and now your whole turn is ruined. There's honestly not much you can do about it. You have to really race and present damage while also holding on to cards and being able to pay through disruption. I would say that Iyslander is the hero I'm scared of most out of the entire meta. She is just too strong in her disruption. Chane is able to play into other aggro decks like Fi and Katsu, Assassin. He's able to just really take them out with his firepower and armor. There's not much anyone can do about a pop-off Chane turn. But he struggles into Iyslander, and that's the main thing. If you play into Control, Chane has the unique opportunity to activate Grasp, make a Rune Chant, build up some Soul Shackles, maybe even pitch stack, and set up a powerful turn to try to bust through someone's defenses if you're playing against an Oldhim or a Bravo that's trying to fatigue you. With enough practice, you can string together large turns, maybe take an on turn and an off turn depending on your hands. There's no shame in just going like Howl from Beyond, Bounding Demigon, Rosetta, and then arsenaling Art of War or Plunder Run or Belittle, because really you want to have a 5-card hand and then Blood Debt on top of that to really send it home and kill the opponent. With all that said, I think Chane is an excellent position right now in the meta, and if you want to play Chane, I think he's an excellent pick for the upcoming Skirmish season. I'm sorry if this video was a bit disorganized, rambly. I've had a very long week, and I just wanted to put this out there so that people know essentially just how the deck works, how you can really pilot it well, what's the core, what's the deck trying to do. Just wanted to get out the very basics. And if there's interest, I'd be happy to do detailed matchup guides. I'd be happy to show some example games on Talishar this upcoming week. But really, I just wanted to get the basics out there so that everyone has the chance to pilot this deck to Skirmish season if they want to. I hope this helps, and I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. It really means a lot. I'm trying to get my feet on the ground as a Flesh and Blood content creator, and I hope to deliver some better content than this. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.